are now listening to the Gabba Gabba Hunt Talks podcast, where we bring you conversations with people connected to the Carolinas underground music scene. Hey, and welcome to this episode of Gabba Gabba Hunt Talks. Now, since this episode is going to run a little bit on the shorter side of what a normal Gabba Gabba Hunt Talks episode would be, this is going to be considered a mini episode. But for the sake of numbering them, this is Gabba Gabba Hunt Talks 3. Now, these are outtakes from the episode where I interviewed my best friend from high school, Matt Welburn, about our initiation into punk rock, our first band, and his projects since then, including a talk about the Boone scene in the 90s. There's also a couple of outtakes from that you may hear later. But what you're going to hear on this episode is all the stuff where we talk about Ark Overnight. I just had enough of this stuff that I could pull all this stuff out and put it in one more compact episode with no musical interludes. This episode is different than most that you will hear, but it is an idea of some things that I may do when I have my episodes run really long. There's just so much good stuff in there that I hate to leave any of it on the cutting room floor. However, I do want to keep my episodes manageable, and with this one, I had almost 3.5 hours to work with and pare down to something much more listenable. This may not be an every week thing, but look for more of these in the future, hopefully released concurrently with the episodes they're on. But in some cases, they may be released first and used as a placeholder for the full episode when I'm running a little bit late getting it uploaded. You're going to hear Roger Raymer first, then Matt Welburn, and then me. And now that you know what's going on, let's get right to the episode.
Well, I remember going to I started out in the Ark Overnight, going to the meetings in the very beginning. And so I'm in there with these people, and they say, well, what we need to do is we need to get, we're going to go there and get DJ teams. And I didn't want to be DJs with any of these people.
Originally, they had talked about that they wanted to start their own radio station, right?
Right. Well, yeah, they wanted to start their own radio.
That was going to be too expensive.
Yeah, they wanted to start their own radio station. They went to FAE because FAE used to be jazz and stuff. It was out of UNCC. And then UNCC quit the radio station, cut all the equipment, and basically said the students cannot have independent thinking and radio. So the group just was like boggled and blown away and went away from there. And DAV, way back in the day, had this radio show called Flip Sides from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. And eventually a founding member of the classical station happened to be up one night and heard this crazy punk rock and crazy music and went, what the hell is that? We only need to hear classical 24 hours. So that ended. Yeah. So Rachel Stewart, who still works there, she was part of the people, Fred Mills, all these people came together to do this Ark Overnight thing. And Phil Rutledge came up with the term Ark Overnight. Alternative Radio Coalition was the whole thing. And anyway,
to bring good music to the airways in Charlotte.
To bring good music to the airways, some people turned us on to WNCW and was like, heck, that's what we want to do. So they approached them for thoughts and inspiration. And the smart people, Greg Hills and Burr Beard of WNCW, said, hey, fellas, we're off air from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. How about y'all just get some practice and fill that void and volunteer? Y'all can do it in groups of 2 or 3, 7 days a week or 5 days a week, whatever you want to do. And so all these people came together, and the only people I wanted to DJ with was these two guys.
And that's when
Mike and Matt. I said, I need people who are out there and I can have fun with.
Yeah, and we hadn't known you that long then, had we?
No,
you invited us to that meeting.
And we went to the meeting together.
Yeah, and I remember thinking, we can be on the radio. This is insane.
Because Michael wanted to do that. I know he wanted to do that for a career.
I was going to go to school to do that anyway when we first talked about it. So by the time we actually did do it, I was in school.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'd just like to back up a bit and say WNCW was a big thing for us too, because I discovered it one night just flipping around on the radio.
Yeah, y'all lived in Kings Mountain, so y'all could pick it up better.
We could pick it up if you held the antenna just right.
Yeah.
Because they're in Spindale, but the transmitter is on the top of Mount Mitchell.
Yeah.
Which goes insanely far, but we could pick it up, and I would listen to it until I got too sleepy, and then I'd put in a tape and just record it, and that's the first place I heard.
And who did we listen to?
Yeah, I heard
Bill
Patti Smith.
Buczynski.
Yeah, that's the first place I heard
DJ.
Patti Smith, Sonic Youth. I mean, all these just amazing bands.
Yeah.
I wish I still had some of those tapes.
Yeah, but we had Bill Buczynski at night, you know, and then Bill became our instructor.
He's our mentor. He taught us how to do the radio.
So the wonderful thing, like at the big meeting at WNCW, was you had a room of, I don't know, maybe 100 people. There was
a lot of people. 50
to 100 people. There's a lot of people there, and they're all in their groups of who they're going to DJ with, and they're like, "Here's what you can do. Here's what we don't want you to do. There's no profanity. Don't play classical. Don't play jazz. Don't bore people. Yeah. Because why is someone listening to the radio from, say, midnight to 6 a.m.? Yeah. Because they want to be awake, because they need to be awake. So keep them awake. And the three of us were like, sweet! Have a party!
Yeah, and they were like, bring your own music.
Yeah.
We've got some stuff here. Do whatever you want. Just fill up the time. Yeah. No dead air.
Yeah. And people are like, can I play, the Bee Gees next to the Devo? They're like, yeah, you can play Bee Gees and Devo. And then other people are like, well, can I play the Monkees and the Smiths? Yeah, you can play the Monkees and the Smiths. We're like, what about like the Butthole Surfers and Patsy Cline and Ministry? Yes.
Yeah.
Is there any cursing? As long as there's no cursing.
Yeah.
And just don't play rap music. Or you can play a little bit.
I think we did play some of it, but
we played some. But they're like, have fun. Remember, people need to be awake.
Yeah. I remember,
and that was the Wacky Package.
I do remember one thing that he said was, about the profanity was like, if you can justify it, go ahead and play it.
Right.
But if you want to play The Shit Hits the Fan by the Circle Jerks, you're probably not going to be able to justify it.
Yeah.
And then later, we'll talk about that. But later, I played something I shouldn't have played on there.
Yeah, you got in trouble.
It was completely.
I think they called me about that one, and we got through it.
Yeah. We got through that one. We didn't get through the next thing, but
our time came to an end.
Our time came to an end. It was about time for it to come to an end. I think you were getting ready to go to school.
Yeah,
I don't know. I forget the whole timeline.
We were all stretched thin.
Yeah.
It was every 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
We did every other week. It was every other week.
I thought it was every 3 weeks.
No, every 3.
Was it every 3?
Every 3. You couldn't do every other week. There was no way physically, because you had been awake all day.
Oh yeah, it was Saturday nights.
And then you would get there around midnight.
Yep. And
then you would DJ. And I'll never forget, because the 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. Yeah. And here's a folks listening, this was amazing. But from 5 to 6, between the three of us, it would take 2 to 3 people to DJ. One person to hit the buttons, one to drop the needle, and one to do something else, because by yourself you couldn't function.
Yeah.
But the person who relieved us was a blind man.
Yeah. Every week.
Dennis.
He would come in and play things.
Dennis came in.
Couldn't see.
He's blind. People would leave him his CDs in a stack. We would help him bring them in. And us three, amongst ourselves, were so disoriented, probably from being awake 24 hours.
Yeah.
But we're relieved by a blind man who does it like, what's y'all's problem? This is all you got to do.
And the good thing
always amazing. We loved him.
Yeah. Good thing about us doing it on Saturdays was we got those extra 2 hours, because it was like every other night of the week they were on the air until 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
I think Fridays and Saturdays they were off. It may have just been Saturdays. Yeah. They were off at midnight.
At midnight.
So we were on there from midnight till 6.
Yeah, so we
got an extra 2 hours.
We were busy.
We were busy.
And, and you like some punk rock, which is like 2 to 3 minute songs. After a while, you're looking for that. Anybody got a 6-minute song?
Yeah. Especially if
Let's
you got to
play
go to the
a
bathroom.
7. Can we play like Sister Ray by the Velvet Underground?
Yeah. And I mean, that station was huge because we had listeners in Tennessee, South Carolina.
Oh my God!
You
had people
half of North Carolina.
Yeah.
You would
Kentucky on a good
when
night.
people called in, you would ask them, "Where are you calling from?" And sometimes they'd say, "Why are you asking?" And you would have to say, "I don't know where you are, but just to let you know, people are. This is going to Knoxville, Tennessee, to Greenville, South Carolina, and Charlotte,
Northern Georgia,
and then up north."
Yeah.
I said, our listening area is so vast, it's insane.
Yeah. And
where are you at?
And it was at a community college.
Yeah.
It was a community college radio station.
Yeah, and we're in Spindale.
Yeah.
That's a great radio. Even during the day, it's still a great radio station. They play a good mix of stuff.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It's one of the best things ever.
Years after that, I would be at different stations. Go in. I want to volunteer to DJ here. Like, where have you DJ'd? Like, well, WNCW. Like, whoa, are you serious?
Yeah.
You were at WNCW. Like, yeah.
We were pioneers of WNCW.
Yeah.
I mean, we were. Ark Overnight was pioneers.
We rocked it.
Yeah,
we did. We were the only folks listening out there in podcast land. We were the Wacky Package, and I guarantee you, no other group DJing had a mailing list and people who regularly listened and had parties planned for when we DJ'd.
So years later, I was talking to my friend John Rash, who grew up around Banner Elk.
Yeah.
And he talked about, he used to listen to that station, and he was like, one night I would leave it on, and I fell asleep, and all of a sudden I just heard this incredible scream, and I woke up and I had no idea what was going on, and I was looking outside. I was scared to turn on the lights, and then I realized it was these guys on the radio, and I looked at him and was like, that was us. That was us. He was like, that was one of the scariest nights of my life.
It'd be like 4 a.m. and we're DJing. We just go, ah!
Yeah, wake up! I remember that night, like Roger let there be like 30 seconds of just dead air. And he was just sitting there like, what is he doing? What he's doing? And he's just sitting there in front of the microphone. And then all of a sudden, just let out this blood-curdling scream. Like you were not going to go to sleep listening to our show.
And we discovered so many cool songs and stuff when we
oh my God, Bongo Joe!
Bongo Joe. I still have that.
And the Austin Lounge Wizards.
Yep.
George Coleman.
Yeah, that's his name.
George Coleman. Oh my gosh. Being allowed to just roam in the vaults of WNCW, you need like a 3-month DJ set to just go through
But
it.
remember, it was so hard to look through their stuff because it was arranged by catalog number.
Yeah.
So if a band is on 2 or 3 different labels, their CDs are going to be all over that room.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, you just went in there and looked around, and like if something caught your eye, grab it.
Yeah.
Well, then there was also the room that had, I think Marshall Ballou was still there, who was a mind-boggling musicologist, DJ, human. And there was a room of the DJ's personal stuff that they allowed people to play. And you just went in that room and you were just stumped because it's overwhelming. But
both
WNCW.
Even with all that, we all, like all 3 of us, would take a crate of records every time.
Oh, yeah.
Both Oswald Factory songs, you play those, well, the 2 main ones. Both of those were taken from things that were recorded off of WNCW. And I don't know what they were.
I do want to get, you said you've got some cassettes, right? of some stuff recorded from Wacky
Yes,
Package.
I have cassettes of
I
Wacky Package.
do want to get that and make it available somehow
I've got a few too.
online.
Oh,
We
really?
should compare. We may have the same ones, but hopefully not.
Yeah,
I think
we
I
would
used to
like-
have some, but I've not
Yeah.
been able to locate them. so.
I've got some. I also have some tapes of you on WASU because you did those theme shows, the Bombastic Rock Show. I have that on tape.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Matt and I used to DJ at WSU. We did different themes because we were there for a while. And my favorite night was covering for Matt on his punk rock show when the kid called up and we had a listening radius of 3 miles. Yeah. It was pretty weak. And the kid calls up and goes, oh, you got any Green Day? And I said, son, have you been listening to what the fuck we've been playing? Do you think Green Day fits into this? Green Day does not fit into it. This is like the real deal show. Son, you need some Testicle Sweat in your life.
So
You need to go down to Fat Cat Records tomorrow.
after I did that show, I didn't do the punk show anymore, and some other kid started doing one. And Roger would call him up and just request stuff.
Yeah.
And Roger called up and requested. He was like, "Man, you need to play some Testicle Sweat."
Yeah.
I was like, what? He's like, Testicle Sweat, you don't have any? You got to go get some tomorrow. And I worked at Fat Cats
Right.
in Boone at the time. And this kid came in and asked me, and Roger had told me the story, and asked if I'd heard of a band called Testicle Sweat.
Yeah.
And I had to not laugh in his face and tell him, yes, of course. They're really good. You really need to hunt that down. It's hard to get.
He's probably still
luck.
looking for Testicle
Probably
Sweat
is.
to this day.
Maybe you'll hear this and be like, damn.
God damn it.
The irony of me DJing and saying that, and the kid going to Fat Cats and Matt's there going, you've been talking to Roger.
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing I'll just tack on to the end of the Wacky Package story, I guess, is so I was going to school at the time for broadcasting because that's kind of what I wanted to do. And it kind of ties back into what I'm doing now. Cause
Don't know how you got off the path there, Michael.
In a way, this is broadcasting. It's just different. You can do it on
It's
your own.
21st century broadcasting.
Yeah.
But-
yeah. It's the same thing, but different.
I still think I would have enjoyed it, but doing the Wacky Package was so much fun
Oh, God.
that I realized that if I did it as a career, because I was sitting in class learning that, oh, well, you're probably going to have a playlist of stuff that
Yeah.
you're
but
going to
you
have to
gotta-
play. And you're going to be handed this playlist, and you're going to have to play this song and this song and this song. And I started thinking, I'm going to end up at like Cat Country or something.
Yep.
Playing
Yeah.
shit
Oh,
that I hate.
yeah.
And here I am every 3 weekends having the time of my life playing anything
Yeah.
I want to play. I can play Madonna, and I can follow it up with Morbid Angel if I want to.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
we can play whatever we want to. The Butthole Surfers, we can play something
Yeah.
we recorded off the TV that's just weird as fuck.
Yeah.
Kung Fu Fighting.
Yeah. The Kung Fu Fighting record.
That was a fucking
And we
classic.
can play that stuff
Not the song
and
Kung Fu Fighting.
anything we want
Correct.
Kung Fu sound effects. Sorry.
I don't want to do this for a living anymore because it's not going to be fun.
Well, that's like a friend of mine tried to get me to DJ at the Duke station in Durham.
Yeah.
'Cause I did a show in Carborough for many years, and I stopped doing that. And he was like, "We should do the Duke." And I was like, "Well, do I have to play a playlist?" And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, there's a few things you have to play every hour." And I was like, "No,
Yeah.
I cannot do that. I've
Do you
never
remember-
done it, and I'm not going to now."
Wait a second. Do you
I'm
remember
too good.
in Wacky Package at WNCW? When we began, there was absolutely free reign, but then around the end, it was Joe Kendrick and people, and they said you need to play like one of these, 3 of these an hour.
I forgot about that.
And we would play 10 seconds
Yeah.
of that and
Yeah.
just go, this shit sucks.
Yeah, or play two songs over the top of each other.
Right.
Play them at the same time. Like, well, we played them.
Yeah. We would knock them out because typically they were crap.
Yeah,
And because we would pre-listen, every once in a while we'd go, hey, that band's okay. They've got 2 or 3 songs. We can play one.
we can fit it in.
We can fit it in, but 99.9% of the time it was, how about if we figured a way to layer them, play them all,
play kung fu sound effects behind it while it's going on. You know?
Yeah, that was, and then
that we're nonconformists. That's it. We're nonconformists.
Yeah. And so the one time I alluded to earlier, so the new Butthole Surfers had come out, the Independent Worm Saloon. Yeah. And they had the CD in there, and it's like, oh, all right, man. It's just come out that week.
Oh, yeah. It had the profanity.
I hadn't heard it yet. And, of course, they have it. And most of their CDs are marked,
Which song was that?
Chewing George Lucas's Chocolate. Goofy's Concern.
Yeah.
It starts off with chewing.
And, and it's like 3 a.m. We've been on for hours.
Yeah. And it's not, but most of the CDs there that they had were marked, like if you couldn't play something, it had an X or a sticker or something inside of it. Yeah. This was brand new. I guess nobody had listened to it. And I'm like, okay, I got to go to the bathroom. Which song do I want to play? That's all the Chewing George Lucas's Chocolate thing. And then Goofy's Concern. I'm like, yeah, let's play that.
Yeah.
And so we play that, and I run to the bathroom. And I come back, and Matt's like, man, I don't think you should have played this song. I'm like, why you say that? And you're like, listen, like, I don't give a fuck about the FBI. I don't give a fuck about the CIA.
But even though we heard
I run over there and I fade it out and start something else up.
But none of us could do it because you would put it on.
Yeah.
And if we took it off, that'd be disrespect. It's like, well, that's his, he's going for it.
I don't think you weren't there that night. That was the night that you weren't there.
I got the phone call on that.
But Roger got the phone call.
But Roger was always a huge Butthole Surfers fan, and maybe you were listening, and we were like, we got to play it for Roger.
Yeah.
You turned us on to that stuff.
Yeah.
But apparently somebody that worked at the station or did something at the station
was a nurse was heading home.
Oh, yeah, a nurse was heading home.
But she knew the people who were the people.
Yeah, something.
And she called them, and then they called me and went, we have a problem.
Yeah. You boys can't be playing that.
Even though, technically in the middle of the night like that, I don't think the FCC can fine you for it.
No,
they can make a point. They can hassle you.
Yeah, but it don't matter. It should have been done.
But the Wacky Package got a strike.
So we had a strike against us.
Yeah, we had a strike.
And then I don't know how many weeks later it was. It couldn't have been too much longer after that because that was all towards the end.
Yeah,
there was the night. Or was it? No, it wasn't the same night.
There
was another night when Roger wasn't there, and that's the night that I can't remember his name now. But he was friends with Bill.
That guy Paul.
I've got a picture of him at the.
I've got a picture of him at the house. I've got a picture of him.
Paul and your brother.
But he called up because, we'd met him before.
He was going by to feed his buddies goldfish or something.
Yeah, he was friends with Bill, and we'd met. I think he was out there one night when Bill was on there. When we were out there doing our training.
The first time he met us, he called us Devo.
Yeah,
remember that?
Yeah, he loved. Paul loved us.
Yeah,
and he was nuts.
He was kind of burned out, but still.
But he came
in a flicker.
Yeah, he had a flicker.
He stopped by, and everything we did was. No, I think Roger was there. Were you there that night? It seems like maybe you were, but you just weren't involved in all the other stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think you were because otherwise I think you wouldn't have went back either. But so we Xerox copies of his face and stuff like that, and then taped them up on the pictures and stuff in the place. And decided to leave it because we thought it was funny.
Of Paul?
Paul's face. There's a picture of Dizzy Gillespie or somebody playing a trumpet.
And I have a picture of that.
I almost brought a Xerox copy that you sent me that you did at NCW tonight. When I opened up a box, I was looking for a cassette.
Yeah.
And it was a picture that you did there. And autographed it and went.
Yeah, but we
to Roger from
Xerox the stuff and hung it up taped notes of the pictures.
We did,
and then left it because we thought it was funny.
We thought it was funny, and
we thought whoever came in the next day would.
Paper?
I don't know.
And we made a mess. It was a mess, and we shouldn't have done it.
And we shouldn't have left it.
But what's funny at 4 a.m. on sugar high is not necessarily what's.
Yeah, because we're not tipsy. We're not drinking. We're not doing anything but eating. We're drinking
space worms.
We're drinking coffee.
So I think Roger actually was there the Butthole Surfers night, but I don't think he was around. I think you and Amy disappeared. That was on one of those nights when you and Amy disappeared for a while. And there's no telling what was going on, but you and Amy disappeared. The night that I'm talking with Paul, that you were not there that night. And we left all that stuff because you gave me the call, and you're like, I got a call from WNCW again.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shit, what was it? What is it this time? And I think basically that was our second strike. We could still go back on the air, but they wanted to have a talk with us.
Yeah.
And me and Matt just decided, fuck it, we're not
Yeah,
talking to
because I was
them.
going to college. I mean, it was a great.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
It was the
I
right
drove
time.
down like once or twice.
Yeah.
Maybe Amy and I after during the end.
Yeah, there was a one time after the Anti-Scene show where Jeff Clayton and
Yeah, I brought Jeff
Mad
in.
Brother Ward
Yeah,
came
'cause
I
out.
brought Jeff in. We were all there.
No,
No,
I
we
wasn't
weren't there. We weren't there for that one.
I thought
That
you
was
were
that
there.
No, we weren't there for that. That
Okay,
was
'cause
after.
It was around Christmas.
Yeah, I thought both of y'all
No,
were there.
we weren't there.
I
That
was-
that was the
that was
one
a big night.
That
So
was
it was
after
He
that.
and
We could-
Mad Brother Ward.
Me and Matt couldn't go back. They wanted to talk because you weren't there that
Well,
night. That's why
no,
you got to go back.
No, there was the Jeff Clayton night. Jeff Clayton came and was the guest DJ because I couldn't go. I'm pretty sure you went. I couldn't go because it was Christmas.
I wasn't there with Jeff. I wasn't there.
Oh, I
I
thought y'all were.
swear. But
I'm
anyway,
pretty,
I
I'm
had
pretty
fun.
sure it
I was
happened
at my
afterwards because I was
grandparents'.
like, man, I really wish I could be there.
I was at my grandparents in Pickens, South Carolina, and WNCW was so huge I could pick it up.
Yeah.
And it was late at night, like right after Christmas, and I was laying in my bed there with the radio, listening to it really quiet, not waking anybody else up. And I remember you played Sister Ray for Jeff because he had to leave.
Yeah. Yep.
And you played that for him.
That was his request.
Yeah, to drive back home.
He and Mad Brother Ward, who is now the main guitarist, replacing Joe Young in Anti-Scene, they both came up and we had a fun evening.
I listened to that one, and I know for a fact that was after me and Matt were no longer allowed on the
Oh,
air until we
okay.
came back and talked to him. I think that was the last show that you did, actually. You may have done one more after that.
Yeah,
but,
not.
But it was
many.
after the 10th anniversary show, and me and Matt just decided, screw it, we're not going to go talk to him. It's about time Matt was going to school.
Yeah.
It was time. It had run its course, and it was fun, and I would love to have kept doing it, but
We learned a lot.
And
God bless you, WNCW.
I just didn't want to go up. I just didn't want to go up there and
we
get
love
fussed at in order to
WNCW.
be able to get back on the air for a couple more weekends. So.
And I thought it was great that I said, Jeff, it's a long ride home. What do you want to hear? He said, Sister Ray. Yeah. I said, all right, I'm going to play a couple songs, let you get in your car, and we're gonna do this.
I remember one night, I think it was a friend of yours called up. I think you knew him. I don't know. Requested Black Flag, and we were like, cool. And by the time we hung up the phone, we could not remember what song he requested. So we played like 10 or 11.
Yeah, we played
Black
like an
Flag songs
hour's
in a
worth of
row.
Black Flag songs.
And it was just like, well, we forgot what he said, so here you go. And it was just all.
How about-
But that same
about-
night, while we were doing all those Black Flag songs, we
Yeah.
would like stop, like play 2 or 3 of them, and then we'd get on the air and we'd start telling Black Flag stories. And
Yeah.
we made up half of them. Like someone we were talking about a video that Brad had that we were watching. We were talking about Henry Rollins wearing the cowboy hat and all this stuff. But then we just started making up shit and telling stories about Black Flag that made no sense at all. And then, all right, here's another song by Black Flag. We played an hour's worth of Black Flag. That was the best thing. It was like me and Matt were talking last night about how we grew up watching stuff like Looney Tunes and we read magazine.
Yeah.
But David Letterman, it was like punk rock TV. It was like anarchy punk rock TV.
Yeah.
That's what Wacky Package was. It was David Letterman radio. It was inspired by that.
We would even go so far as to say, like, here's a Marvin Gaye song, and get ready to chill out, and play Black Flag.
Yeah.
I remember, it was like, well, the fifth caller gets
Yeah.
what's in Roger's pocket,
Yeah.
and we would mail it to them.
Yeah.
Right. And we would mail people, we would find stuff. I remember
We sent out a couple
I
of really
had
cool
like
packages.
I found a dead snake.
Yeah.
A dead snake skin, and said, all right, third caller gets our package. And we would send orange peels.
Yeah, I still pick up dead snakes off the road to save them to mail to people because of you. I've got a few. we I don't know if we should talk about that, but we used to give away that guy Nate's record.
Oh, no, we should. That was the best
I
thing.
think the statute of limitations. Plus, I don't think Nate's going to listen to
what
this.
was great
Oh man, Nate!
Remember,
Nate was on before us, and he played mostly industrial stuff, and he hated us.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
didn't like him either.
Yeah,
not
he was
that
just
he
a jerk.
hated us. I think people didn't like him either.
I think he
Well,
just
he-
hated people.
He hated us a lot because people would call while he was on because he was on every week.
Right.
And they would call every week asking if we were going to be on that week. And we would get there and he's like, oh, people aren't calling for you. But he left some of his records one night.
I know.
And so we were like, All right, fifth caller, you win Nate's records that he left.
and remember what we also said? We said, hey, we got Nate in the closet. Third caller gets to come down and punch Nate in the stomach.
Somebody had to have told him about that. But
third caller, get all Nate's records.
But we got away with it, man.
Nate, if we're like somehow Facebook friends and I don't know about it, sorry, man. Because I have friends with a couple of Nates on Facebook. It's possible.
Hey, man, it made great radio.
Oh, man. I mean, we were controversial.
Yeah, but, we were allowed to do what we wanted.
Our very first night, it was nasty weather. I remember driving up there and thinking, maybe they're going to call us to cancel the show because it's the beginning of Ark Overnight.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the first weeks that it's on, and it's terrible weather. It's wintertime. And we go on, and the boss called me before we went on and said, I hope y'all know how to work the emergency broadcast stuff. I'm like, well,
yeah.
We'll figure it out. I got some sharp boys with me, Michael and Matt are going to figure this shit out. And sure enough, a little ways into the show, and we've been playing Black Flag, Circle Jerks, Patsy Cline, we're all over the map, know. And the emergency broadcast thing comes on. Michael finagles it, hands me the report, and I read it and tell people about the weather situation going on and all that. And right after I read that, the phone rings.
I remember this.
And I'm thinking, oh my God, it's the boss calling. We totally botched it. We messed up because we're still learning how to hit all the buttons to play a record and all this shit. And the phone rings and it's this little old man. And I just say WNCW, and he goes, "Son, you did good. You did good. I just want to let you know." I said, "Sir, have you been listening to us?" He says, "Yeah." I goes, Do you like that music? I mean, we've been playing some pretty ruckus stuff there. I mean, some Black Flag and Dead Kennedys and." Yeah, music's kind of crazy, but I listen a lot of times in the winter because of the weather, and I just want to know what's going on. And you read a really good report there, that weather situation.
I remember that.
And I was like, and I said, well, what do you think about the music and our antics? Because, I think we're pretty silly here. And he goes, son, I need to be awake, and I want to be awake, and y'all are doing it. I said, whoa, you got any requests? He goes, nope, just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
We might have thrown in some bluegrass or country or something after that, or we threw out props. That was our first night, and that right there, I think, that one little situation just fed us to just going,
oh, yeah.
Just do what you do.
Yeah, what you do, man.
And do what you do. And this little old man, he would call us randomly. And it's just a vote of confidence.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Right there.
It's also the magic of radio. You don't know who's listening randomly.
There you go. There you go.
You remember the night that I almost shut the radio tower down? Because there were some checks that we were supposed to do on every shift. And it's like at certain times, and we never did them. But then the one night I was like, I think I'm going to do those checks.
Yeah.
I did something, and all of a sudden, we started the power went off, and we weren't on the air anymore.
Back then it wasn't all automated. You had to check and
you hit the buttons.
Yeah. But then I was like, I don't know if I panicked and did something, and all of a sudden everything came back up, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm never doing that again.
But if the transmitter was getting too cold, because I remember this in Boone too, if the transmitter was getting too cold and frozen up, it would overheat. Because it couldn't broadcast right, and things would shut down, and it was really bad. And every hour you had to check and see what like what percentage the
oh yeah
the power was at. And if it got over like 110 or whatever, like you were in trouble and you might have to shut that station down.
Right.
But in a very prescribed way and not just flip a switch.
Yeah. Right. We was amateurs, but we was good kids.
Yeah, we was trying.
Yep. I just remember
a little hot rod in our heart, but maybe a bicycle in our head.
I don't think I have any cassettes of us on the air, but I think if I look around hard enough, I've got some cassettes that we made in that production room where we practiced.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh. Bill Buczynski was our mentor.
Bill Buczynski was great because you would hear him on the radio and he had this smooth radio voice and he was a pro.
Hey, there's Bill Buczynski.
And then you show up and he's like this madman wearing a pair of shorts.
Look like a caveman. His arms are like way too long. They're extremely hairy.
Yeah,
but
like,
hey,
he was like in your face. And
yeah, folks, you're listening to a DJ who's going, "Hi, this is Bill Buczynski. I'm your DJ tonight." But then you're the guys who are actually he's training, and he says, "Oh, just go fucking nuts!" It all works. It all works. Just make it all work. Yeah.
That was some fun times.
Yeah.
Well, hey, let's do a little bit of full circle here. Who was the band that we always started a Wacky Package show with?
It was Anti-Scene.
Yeah. Exactly.
Every
that was we decided in the beginning. You know, because Wacky Package, WNCW, Ark Overnight was all mainly about local regional music.
Yeah.
And the band who we agreed on was Anti-Scene. And we said, we have to have a theme, an intro.
Yeah.
We have, of one thing we do, our intro has to be the same every week.
We always started off with Anti-Scene, but we always ended it with Walking the Cow.
Exactly. Yeah. We had an intro and an exit. Yeah. And you know, that was a genius, I think, of our show, as opposed to other people who just went, "Hello, it's Ark Overnight."
But other than that, that was the only theme because you never knew what you were going to hear.
No, Anti-Scene could have been.
There was no telling what was coming
next. Patsy Cline could have been, Public Enemy.
Yeah.
Who knows where it was going after that?
Yeah.
That was the whammy. It could have been Fred, not Fred. It could have been Fred Lane.
But
Austin Lounge Lizards or Bongo Joe.
But I'm glad you mentioned that we wanted to sort of focus because at that point we weren't that. We just started discovering like the Charlotte music scene.
Yeah.
But we did make a point to play like local bands.
And that was a premise of Ark Overnight was to promote and I felt that we played more people.
Oh yeah, we played
locally
we played Pop
than
Picasso
anybody. Because
Trigger.
I would listen to some other DJs, and they were pretty good. But I think we really dug deep.
We played Sugar Smack. We played everybody. We played all the bands we went to go see. We played.
Yeah. And
we played Ethel Meat Plow on there. We talked about them earlier. We played Ethel Meat Plow.
Oh,
they weren't local, but we played them because we saw them at the Milestone.
Oh yeah. Or we would say, "Hey, this show's coming up next week.
Yeah,
you need to go see these people." And we would play this band.
Yeah,
134 is playing next week. Go see them. 134.
This has been a Gabba Gabba Hunt Media production.